Hey everyone, it's Stephanie. I am here super excited. I did not get this illustrating Bible for free. Unfortunately, I got it as a gift from my husband for Mother's Day, and it arrived yesterday. And so I decided that I would do a first impressions review of this Bible. Now, I never owned the other pink one, the rose gold one that was before this one. I never had that one. So I figured that I would do a review of this one comparing to my NIV Journal of the Word Bible. So right off the get go here, or right off the rip, I see that it comes in a box, and I really like that for the fact that you can keep it in here when you're not working in it, keep it protected, and keep your artwork protected over years. All right, so I wanted to talk a little bit about my first impressions of the cover, taking it out of the box. Okay, it is a little heavy. I'm not gonna lie, it is heavy, but it is beautiful. So first of all, I do love the color that this came in. I love this color, love the detail up here. Um, I will say though that DaySpring, if you're ever gonna watch this or if you ever come across this video, I want to suggest, just because I like to customize my own things, that maybe instead of this type of cover, I don't know if it's possible to have like a harder cover, like a regular Bible, and still have it binded with the spiral, but just have this type of cover so that way we can customize it, and maybe have it white, and then just maybe have this, and then people can have like the option to paint it or just do different type of customizations to the front and back of the Bible. Um, that would just be my suggestion. I mean, this is great. I love this, but I just like to personalize things on my own just because everybody's going to have the same color and I would like to customize it. We can customize the inside of it, but I would like the option to um, customize the outside. This is too pretty and really nice that I don't want to customize this because I like it. So it's like a pearlescent green, and it has the gold illustrating Bible. And then the spiral is more like a copper rose gold type of color. It's not really gold, not to me though. So that was one of the things that I just wanted to talk about. And the next thing I wanted to talk about is first impressions on the spiral here. I like that it's really firm. I don't feel like it's like weak or anything, like it'll break, or that it'll like when I'm flipping the pages that it'll tear them. I just really like this very well thought out binding here. Um, Also, when I saw this Bible that was gonna be released again, because I didn't get to buy the first one, um, and I wanted this type of Bible because I was at that time really into cards, and I got into dimension and stuff like that, and so I really wanted to bring that type of dimension into Bible journaling. And on my regular Bible, it's really hard to do that because it just wouldn't grow with the Bible. And I don't know, it's just having a binded Bible. You can do painting stuff, but dimensional stuff is a little harder. Um, so I'm really excited to try those type of products and just have those type of things into my Bible and not have fear that I'm going to break apart or tear apart the binding, because this is pretty big, you see. So there's a lot of room to grow. So I love that I get to test new stuff. So I've, because I've been really into like the whole scrappy thing, and so I'll get to do that in here and test things out. So I love that. Another thing that I wanted to talk about is, let me try to move this around, is the margin. So it says you get like a 4-inch margin, which is awesome, which is way more than I get anyways. This is probably like on this particular, this is the NIV journal, the Word Bible, and it's great. It just has very little room. This is almost like, what, 2 inches? I'm really bad at measurements, so it's just very small in comparison to this illustrating Bible. So I'm excited to do that. So I love the margin space. It gives you 4 inches, but on some of these, like in Job, you get way more than 4 inches. So it's possibly like 6-7 inches here. Let me see, because I have this thing. So yeah, it's about 6 or 7 inches. So like those, Jeremiah has big space, and Psalms, there's a couple of Proverbs here that I like. Now, the one thing that I will say that I've seen on reviews of the older pink Bible, the first illustrating Bible, was I didn't like the title. It was bold and it was so long, and I felt like, it got in the way of your journaling, and it was such pretty handwriting, or it was such pretty print that I don't know that I would have wanted to take it off. So let's say I wanted to journal that, I don't know that I would want to like white that out so that I can journal on that. So I like that they made this a little smaller and kind of off to the right side so that I can still journal here, and then maybe add my elements down here, or some smaller elements up here, and so I like that. The title that is smaller, I like this font. Maybe in the future, if it could just be up here or something, have the same lettering but just up here at the corner, maybe that would be something that in the future can be looked at. But I like it as of right now like this. So the next thing that I wanted to talk about is the translation of this Bible, and it is a Christian Standard Bible, CSB. And I had bought a while ago, I had bought a Bible study, women's Bible study Bible that is CSB. I had never really dug into that version, and I ended up loving it. It's very simple to understand, and I just loved it. So when I found out that this illustrating Bible is CSB version, all the more desire to want to have it. So I'm so thankful that my husband decided to go ahead and purchase this for me. I just am so stoked that he did that. Going back to the whole version, I hope that they keep that version because I really like it. So I just hope if they make more of these illustrating Bibles, that they keep the same Bible version. So because I did not get the first illustrating Bible, one, it was back then, it was money issues. I am a stay-at-home mom, so I have to be very strategic in what I purchase. And so unfortunately then it wasn't a possibility. I'm so glad now it is. Thank you, Jesus. The second reason was I had started Bible journaling fairly early on when that one came out, and so I didn't want to spend the money and then not know that I would continue it or make it a habit to Bible journal. And I also had just bought the other one at Barnes and Noble. I think it was like maybe $30, $40. And so I just didn't feel like right to have one and then have a new one that costs more and not know if I would keep it up and not have enough entries in my older Bible. Now, I still don't have enough entries in my other Bible, my regular journaling Bible, but I do plan to still do some artistic work on that one, like using watercolors or acrylics or just simple die cuts on that one that's more flat. I plan to use dimensional things on this Bible. So that's what I'm excited to use on this one. And the next thing I want to talk about is um, that at first touch, these pages in the Illustrating Bible, they are thicker. It does say in the box that they're 75% thicker than your regular Bible pages, and I do feel that. I do feel it. I mean, you can tell, and it just in the crinkle noise as well. And I love touching these type of pages. I don't know if you're weird like me, but I can just like flip through the pages like over and over again. So that's one of the things I do like about this Bible is that it is 75% thicker pages in here. Now I have this piece here because as I was testing some things that I have from my stash to see what would work with this page that I couldn't use on my other Bible, was because it has this spiral binding here. I'm able to use this punch that I had bought maybe 2 years ago for 12, maybe $10 to $12 at Joann's when they were like on sale. And it's the Create 365 Happy Planner. And so it makes these markings, these punches for you to put them on the plastic round binding that the Happy Planner has that has like little hearts in the middle. And I use that to make my art journals, custom art journals. But I wanted to test this out to see if I could create several of them just by moving the paper one notch down each time I punched, and see if I could maybe create inserts inside my Bible. And I am pleased that I could. So I am so happy because this is just, some cardstock out of a 6x8 paper pad that I had, and I tested it out and I like it. It's just another way to maybe journal if I went crazy on the margins on my artwork. I can insert this and just write some journaling on the card or scrapbook in addition to journaling that verse. Sometimes every time you read a verse, it will give you a different illustration. So maybe on an insert, you can illustrate that same verse, but not have it necessarily on the page if you've already journaled that page. So that's just something fun that I liked, that I tested out, and I am happy quite a bit. So these are some of the things I have in my stash. Now, I don't have a whole lot like other people because a lot of the stuff I buy like at Tuesday mornings or Hobby Lobby when they're discounted. So a lot of the stuff that I have are probably discontinued. But from what I do have, I know a lot of other people have, because they're like some main things like distress oxides and distress inks, distress crayons, stuff like that. And so I just wanted to kind of review what bled through and what didn't on this particular Bible. And then I'm going to compare it to my regular journaling Bible. So I did pens. I did my Microline archival pen in Tombow and the distress markers. Now the distress markers have two tips, the fine tip and the brush tip, and I found that the fine tip did not bleed, but for some reason using the brush, I guess because more ink gets out of that nib, that it causes the bleed through. But if I turn the page here, these are the pen marks, and there is shadowing on the Tombow, but not bleed through. So that is amazing. I used archival ink in the ink pad. Again, shadowing, but no bleed through. I used the Versafine Onyx Black ink. Some, darker shadowing there, but it did not bleed through. And then I have the Illustrated Faith pigment ink in Black IP. I stamped that down too, and it has some shadowing. So these were great. I went ahead and used a green archival ink too, just to see if a different color would give me a different result. It actually was a little bit better than the black. So I went ahead and did the Distress oxide, and then I did a little bit of water shading here, and then I stamped it. So here, as you can see, this is the oxide where I did the water and then the swatch, and then here I stamped. So it seemed like stamping is the best way to go. If you want to do watercoloring with oxides, I would recommend you gesso it or use some like ground watercolor to prep your page. I did some Distress inks. I did the same thing. I swatched it and then I did water. It did not really move with the water because the ink soaked into the paper, and then I used it for stamping as well. So the stamping was great. The swatch was bled through, so that was not good. And then I did the Arteza Real Brush Pens. So right off the rip, I already knew these would bleed through. They're not great for Bible journaling unless you prep your page. And I learned that the hard way. So if you saw a couple videos ago of me doing this entry, you knew or know how much of a mess that created. So it ruined an illustration in the back. That was just horrible, and then it bled through these other 2 pages over here. So I mean, I'm gonna have to figure out a way to remedy that, but I already knew firsthand Arteza would probably not be a good product unless you prepped. So sure enough, here you see that bleed through. Then I have the Distress marker in Peacock Feathers, the brush tip, and here is some of the bleed through. Now, I guess because I gave it a couple of passes, it only bled through this area. So maybe you can get away with a little bit, but if you apply enough pressure, it'll eventually bleed. So I recommend prepping that page if you want to use those products. Now I used the Distress crayon, and this I just swatched it and then put a little bit of water. Now it did not move, so maybe if you use a baby wipe and kind of try to lightly damp it, it would work better. I just used a water color brush and a little bit of water and not a whole lot of movement there. And let's see here, but it did not bleed through. It's right here, it did not bleed through. So that was great. I used Prima watercolors. I've used the Prima and the Illustrated Faith watercolors before on my other Bible, and I know that those were best to work with when doing illustrations in the Bible. So I already felt comfortable with these. As you can see, no bleed through. Next were the Dina Wakley scribble sticks. So I did different things. So on this first try right here, I dipped the crayon into some water and then tried to swatch it. So when I did that, it looked like it was about to bleed through, but it didn't bleed through too bad. It actually just shadowed, but when it was wet, it looked like it was about to bleed through. Luckily, it didn't, so I guess you can use that. Here, 2 on 3 right here, I just, instead of doing that, what I did is I scribbled it dry and then came in with a watercolor brush and then moved it, and that was a lot better. As you can see here, you can barely see the shadowing of that. So that one would be good as well. Next, I tried the Distress spray stains. Now, I don't know if these are discontinued, but I had bought these maybe like a year or two ago on discount at Hobby Lobby. And so I just, because they're in my stash, I want to use them up until I have none of it. So I wanted to see if those still would be good, to work on this Bible. And, I would have to prep because they did bleed through. The next are the Heidi Swap Color Shine. This one is in Citron, and this one has like a mica, like that sparkling shine on it. I don't know if you can see it. So I want to bet that most of these will look like they bleed through. There's very minimal bleed through. I don't know if I can. There's very minimal. It's more like a shadowing, like a color shadow. So I would just recommend maybe using some type of gesso or that watercolor ground, or maybe even white acrylic paint, whichever is most comfortable for you, just to not have that. And then finally, I had some green acrylic paint from Hobby Lobby, the Master's Touch. And I imagine all acrylic paint will be the same results. So it was pretty good. So I did all that from my stash, and I wish I had some other products to share what works in this Bible. I don't have chalk ink pads, and I don't have color box pads, ink pads, or any of the Distress Oxide sprays, or any of the Stays On stuff. I didn't try embossing because I've tried embossing in my other Bible, so if it holds up in my other Bible that the pages are thinner, then that means it'll hold up here just fine. Okay, so some of the differences I'm going to show you, and I didn't want to swatch because when I bought this Bible, I was very new to Bible journaling, so I didn't know, what would work. I just thought I can use all the things and it'll work fine. And I found out very quickly that's not true. So here I was just playing with the scribble sticks in different colors. I did a little flower there and did a little confetti, just messing around with the scribble sticks. And they do bleed through on this one. So you can see the difference between this and the scribble sticks swatch here. So very different on the page. So I love the thickness of the New Illustrating Bible. And then I went ahead and did some archival. I did VersaFine and the Illustrated Faith, and major shadowing and a little bit of bleed through on the VersaFine. Very little spots here and there, but dark shadowing for sure on this page. And then I used the same, the Heidi Swap Color Shine Spray, and it really didn't. It was the same result as the Illustrating Bible. It's just some color shadowing there. And then I did the Distress brush markers, and on this one you can see the bleed through majorly, and the fine tip you can't. It's very faint, more like a shadow. And then I went ahead and used the Tombow pen. Major shadowing right there, and then I used the other microline pen, and small shadowing. Better results definitely on the Illustrating Bible. So for the other stuff, I kind of marked on my entries so that I can show you instead of swatching everything again. So for this entry, I used a mixture of the Illustrated Faith travel set watercolor palette and the Prima watercolors, and so all of this is watercolor. So if you look at this page, there was no bleed through, and these pages were not prepped at all. So watercolors did work on this one, so they're definitely going to work on the thicker pages. Next one, I wanted to show embossing. So embossing here, and then I did use archival ink here, but because I think the letters were too thick, hence it soaked up a lot of ink. It did cause some bleed through right here, but mostly it was very dark shadowing. And here I have the Distress Oxide, an antique linen, and I can see, I don't know if on camera you can see it because the page is almost the same color, but on my end I can see it kind of like a yellowy effect in the back here. So definitely better results on the new Illustrating Bible as far as the distress oxides. Now this is just kind of dry. I did not smush an ink pad on it so it didn't bleed through, and I did not use water, so that helped as well not to have that bleed through. And then the embossing, you can't really see it, so there's no shadowing and there is really no bleed through from it. So that's that. And then over here I wanted to show you, of course, the Arteza bleeds through this one and bleeds through the other one, but on this one it was like way worse. So again, if you plan on using these products on your Bible, whether it be on this one or whether it be on the new Illustrated Bible, use some type of prep on your page so you don't have that. So here I wanted to show you, this is an old entry. I think this was the very first entry I did when I got this journaling Bible. So as you can see, what I was trying to achieve was not there. But if you see that shiny factor, it's because I prepped this page. I prepped it before, and I think I used some clear gesso for this, or it was probably matte medium. And then I just heat set it so that way I could work on this, because before I did that I was getting this wonderful bleed through here and here. So that's when I quickly realized I'm gonna have to prep this page. So I prepped it and I used distress inks over here, and you can see here where I didn't prep it, it had bleed through. And then over here I used a combination of distress inks here, and then I decided to go for the distress spray stains down here. And here you can see where I missed prep and it bled through. So I wanted to show you that. And then the next one was acrylic paint. So I used acrylic paints for this one, specifically the Master's Touch line, but I've used other type of acrylic paint. So I know that, I mean, it'll be good. So that's what acrylic paint is on regular Bible and on the thicker Illustrating Bible. And over here I had used a combination of distress crayons and a little bit of acrylic paint, I believe. Yeah, most of this was the crayons at first. This was the distress crayons, and I prepped this page, as you can see. This is not bleed through. This is because I didn't cover the page in the back, so when it was wet, it was kind of, when I was moving the pages, I got it all dirty. But this is a prepped page here for distress crayon. So if it's prepped, it'll be good. On the new one, I'm sure that even if you didn't, as long as you moved the color lightly around, it would be fine because it's thicker pages. The next one is this one. I also used distress crayons for this one. I did not prep the page, so you can see some color shadowing but not bleed through. And I used not watercolor, I used regular colored pencils for this. And then the next one here, I used the Heidi Swap Color Shine in, I think it was blue, I don't know, turquoise, I think. And you can see that shininess right here, and voila, that bled through and makes this looks like watery. So that definitely, and this is not a prepped page, so definitely it does matter if you prep it or not, whether the color will bleed through. So those are all the products here in just different journal entries in here, so that way you can see the difference between this Bible and then the difference between the old journaling Bible. Now, like I said, I will continue to do entries on my older one, but it'll just be flat stuff. Anything like dimensional or more scrappy type will be in this one. Every now and then I'll probably do something more artistic on this one as well. But definitely I'm gonna use both. I also forgot to mention I do like the pink inside. It's kind of like they just inverted the colors, so instead of this being outside pink, now it's inside. Because I believe on the pink one I've seen it kind of like a velvet green inside. So yeah, I just wanted to come up here and give you kind of like a small review and small first impressions. First impressions, I love it. I am so excited to work on this and see what kind of things that God reveals to me on these verses and be able to have more room to illustrate them. So if there is something that I missed that you kind of wanted to know and didn't get it on this video, you can always comment down below. I'll leave my email. You can email me as well, or just comment down below what you wanted to know about this illustrating Bible. It is still available. Last I checked, at DaySpring website. So I have an affiliate link. I'll link it down below. And if you would like to purchase this Bible for yourself or as a gift, I will leave that down below for you to purchase. I am an affiliate for DaySpring, so it helps me tremendously if you use that. There is no extra charge for you. It just helps support me and my I don't know whether to call this a ministry of sorts, but it does help for me to continue doing these type of videos and stuff like that. I'm excited to share with you in this Bible some entries in the near future on my channel. So thanks again for watching. I hope that you like this first impressions and review, and I'll see you again in the next video. Bye bye.